Welcome to MELfeed.video. We are commencing a live web stream service via youtube.com from Echuca, Australia. We currently conduct these streams on Monday evenings, with other times to be added as more opportunities arise. Please visit our website MELfeed.video for further information. This web video project presents old and new community TV programs. Please enjoy your stay with MELfeed.video.
Hello and welcome to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. Today our guest is Angela Seeger, who's doing a health doctorate in psychology at Deakin University, and we're discussing goals and goal setting. We'll be having an exciting program, so stay with us. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And also last week we kind of ended the program with setting our goals in the morning. Can we just recap a little bit just so our viewers can keep up with us?
Yeah, so last week we talked about the importance of setting process goals as opposed to outcome goals. So outcome goals are when we have an outcome we want to achieve, for example, running 5Ks or losing 5 kilos. Now, the importance of setting process goals are what we actually need to do on a daily basis to achieve that outcome. So maybe we need to go running for 20 minutes every morning from Monday to Thursday, or maybe we need to substitute out our morning cereal for fruit or something like that. And so what we do here is we put a goal in place that is a process. So for example, a process goal might be something like, every day from Monday to Thursday, I intend to run for 20 minutes. And so through this process, what we're doing is we're actually changing our habit. And habits are the hardest thing to change when we're trying to achieve a health behaviour change, for example. And so when we change our habit, we use willpower, and willpower is something that we have in a finite amount. And therefore, it's best to utilise our willpower in the morning when we have a fresh store of it. So when
willpower can be extended like a muscle, you were saying as well. I don't know if you said that off camera or on camera last week.
Yeah, so willpower does get depleted over the day, and that's why it's important that we set these goals in the morning, so that when the time comes we just have to follow it through. We don't have to use willpower to make the decision to either run for our 20 minutes or eat the healthy food. We just follow through. Right,
but then you were saying, don't some people have more willpower than others? And that you said something like that they exercise it like a muscle?
They exercise, what they do is they actually exercise where to use it. Okay. So we all have an amount of willpower, and the people that manage to achieve the most things use their willpower in the most efficient way. And so what they do is they make the decisions regarding what they need, the important decisions in the morning, and then they just follow through with their habits for the rest of the day.
Okay, that's very interesting, because some people, you know, say for example we're talking about fruitarians and people doing raw vegan diet. Some of them have achieved it, but do you think maybe behind the scenes they were doing a bit of those process goals even though they haven't let on that?
Yeah, well, that can be the case. So, for example, if someone says, oh, I became a fruitarian overnight, for example, perhaps there were process goals happening in the background that took them to that point. So, for example, perhaps they weren't just eating all foods that were not of a fruitarian diet. Perhaps they were eating a largely fruit diet at the point where they decided to go completely fruitarian overnight, as they say. But, you know, the process of changing the behaviour over time may have been happening in the background for
a long
years
period,
even, and the outcome of them becoming a fruitarian is just what we see. We might not see what's happened in the background.
Right. And then what about things when you achieve something and maybe other people around you may get actually a little bit jealous or a little bit nasty that you've achieved something, but they don't know that you've gone through this whole process in the background. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Look, it can be hard to see someone else achieve something when you've been trying and failing for a long time. So we talked a lot last week about how difficult it is to actually change habits. So we know that it takes a long time, it takes a lot of willpower, it takes a lot of self-reflection. Now, if people don't know about all of these steps that it takes, they might be trying and failing repeatedly to change a behaviour. And it can be across a whole host of things. It might not just be health or diet or exercise. Maybe it's something else like having a baby or progressing in your career. And if they haven't put all these process goals in place, then they might be getting frustrated as to why they're not progressing. So that frustration might be about themselves rather than about you achieving your goal.
That's beautiful, and that's a good thing for people to know, because people just don't become, you know, what they are. Everyone's worked towards whatever they are. It's not like
That's
everything's.
right.
Some people get you know, fun in this. Oh, everything was handed to that person in a silver spoon. There's like that expression. But that person may have had to work a lot to get to where they are. But they don't explain it to you. But you know, maybe they
and
do.
that is a saying. You know, we are what we repeatedly do. We are our habits, and so excellence or excelling in a certain area. It's not something that you just roll out of bed one day and automatically achieve. It's the work that you've put in the background that gets you to that point.
Exactly. Like I had this experience, like when I had my accident, there wasn't one doctor, one physio, one nurse who said I would walk again. Everyone completely said you will never walk again. They even were saying things like strange, writing it down in front of me. I could see them. Strange, thinks she's going to walk. And one nurse who was very overweight came to visit me, and I said, what happens if I exercise and I really try hard? I was feeling very vulnerable at the time.
Of course.
And I said, what if I do something, you know, exercise, won't I walk, won't I get some muscle strength back? And she just sat there and said, you can exercise till the cows come home, nothing's going to happen.
Wow.
But then I did, you know, I did exercise till the cows came home, and they moved, baby, all the way home. No, and I did, and so I got my quads back and I got my adductors back, and I'm able to walk with crutches, but not perfectly yet. But the thing is, if I believed her and believed everybody in the medical profession who were meant to be the experts, then I would not have achieved that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So
yeah, you had the self-belief, and one concept that we talk a lot about in health psychology is self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is the idea that you have the belief that you're able to complete a task, and you had the belief that you were going to walk again. So you had self-efficacy that you could achieve your goals. And self-efficacy is instilled in us from past experience, so past successes. And so people with low self-efficacy who often fail, perhaps, may not have the belief that they can achieve their goals, and so they may give up more easily. Whereas people who have past successes, they have more self-efficacy, and they will continue on in the purpose of achieving their goal because they believe they have the power to achieve it.
They believe they have the power to achieve. It's interesting, isn't it? So it's from past experiences. When you've achieved in something else, you think, oh, I can achieve in that. I can achieve that. Even if it's like you think, oh, now this is a bit of a whopper. I remember I was thinking, oh, I've got to do acting now, I've got to walk again. Like this is like, what are you doing to me, God? Anyway, we've got to go to a break now.
Okay.
You're watching NAT Chat. We'll be back again very shortly.
Dad, we need to have the talk.
What? You going to talk to me about the birds and the bees?
No, Dad, no.
Don't be shy about talking with your parents about the facts of life, that people over 55 are at an increased risk of drowning. They need to know their limitations, be aware of medical conditions, avoid alcohol, wear a life jacket, and learn life-saving skills. Have the talk with your parents today.
William Tyrrell was abducted from his nana's home on the New South Wales mid-north coast on the 12th of September 2014. And somebody knows who did it. Do you? There is a $1 million reward for information that leads police to William. That's 1 million reasons to make the call. Contact Crime Stoppers now. 1-800 333 000. Make the call.
You're our whole world, Mum.
Grandpa told the funniest stories.
I loved our quiet nights in.
We talked about everything except dying.
Let's do this on my terms.
Mum wants to die at home. It's the most important talk we had.
Northern Access Television will turn 30 in 2020. We are planning a celebration night with a book and a special TV show about our history. If you're a past member or a volunteer of NAT, we would love to hear from you. For more details, visit the website nat30years.info and find out how you can help celebrate 30 years of media for the community. The 30th anniversary of Northern Access Television. Let's celebrate in 2020.
Hello and welcome back to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Angela Seeger, who is completing her health doctorate in psychology at Deakin University, and we're discussing goals and achieving goals and self-belief. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
So on this topic of self-belief and achieving our goals, some people may be in a sad position, or they may actually be achieving goals, but they don't see it themselves. They may think, oh, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not all these things.
Yes.
But someone outside might say, actually, you're doing quite well in these things. So can we talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so we can be very self-critical. So we have our inner critic who is always telling us, what we're not achieving. And overcoming that self-critic can be really challenging. And some people's self-critic might be stronger than others. But in terms of actually progressing and looking towards goal setting, the self-critic can impact on whether we have the belief to actually set goals and achieve them. So one thing that we could do might be to reflect on what we have achieved. So what adversities have we overcome, and what goals have we put in place and then successfully achieved them. And that can bolster the belief that we can achieve other goals, so it can bolster our self-efficacy. Yeah.
So it's like reflecting on the things that the person has achieved.
Yeah.
And think, actually, I'm not too bad. I managed to overcome this. I managed to do this. And then bolster themselves up by reflecting on their own past things.
Yeah, exactly. And so once you have the belief that you may be able to achieve a certain goal, then you can put that goal. You can write that goal down. For example, make sure it's a process goal. So I'm going to, for example, I'm going to go for a 20-minute run every morning, Monday to Thursday for the next month, and then see how I go. And so then at the end of the month, what you can do is reflect back and see how well you have done in achieving that process goal. If you haven't done well, then identifying the barriers that's got in the way. But then if you have done well, that's great. You've got another piece of evidence that you can achieve your goals, and you can bolster your self-efficacy even more.
Okay. And have you had many experiences, you don't have to name the people or anything, but where people have come to, because you have done some consulting as well, haven't you?
Yes, of course, yeah.
And where you've seen them actually progress in whatever they came to see you for?
Yeah, look, one of the things that I have had some experiencing is helping people in chronic pain. And so one of the most rewarding outcomes of helping people who have chronic pain is seeing them increase their self-efficacy and their belief that they can actually live a full and well-rounded life, when previously they may have thought that they would be permanently inhibited by their pain. So one of the things that people in chronic pain are able to do is set goals that are in line with what is advised by different health practitioners, and then identify strategies that helps them achieve those goals.
Right. And then you see them on an ongoing basis and you say, well, now they're looking a lot happier now, they've solved whatever the problem was.
Yeah, well, what happens is that once they manage to achieve smaller goals, so perhaps they didn't think that they were able to walk to, the local shop and back, and then managing to achieve that through the process that we've been talking about, setting the process goals, then they actually have bolstered self-efficacy, and they have new optimism and belief that they're able to achieve things rather than being permanently inhibited by their pain.
Yeah. I remember I was training with this trainer, and he got me walking. Well, I had calipers on, and then I said, I really want to get off the calipers. And then he said, okay, let's try without the calipers. And I had like a bit of a mental block, because I was thinking, every doctor, every nurse, every physio said I can't do it. And then he's saying, get them out of your mind, get them out of your mind. And we would do the procedure to get there.
Right,
we were doing
yeah.
going to the gym, we were doing swimming, walking, exercise, not walking yet, but walking with the calipers.
Yeah.
And then I tried to take the steps without the calipers, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I can do this, if I can even take one step, there's no stopping me. I'm going to keep going, And so I took one step, 2 steps, and he's shouting at me like a real coach, like, come on, you can do it, get them out of your way. It was like a real powerful moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I took about 5 steps, and I was thinking, this is amazing, there's no stopping me now. And then I kept training with him for a while, and then after a while he had to go to New Zealand, and him and his wife, and then they were starting a family and everything. And then I was left on my own, so I kept doing it on my own, and then I sort of felt like I had nowhere to turn, so I went back to the hospital with the doctors where I didn't really want to go to, but I just thought, I've got no one to turn to.
Yes.
So I said, look, I'm walking now without calipers, with my own legs, and I'm walking on walking sticks. And I got to the stage of walking with walking sticks.
Wow.
And the doctor said, no, you've got to get back on the calipers and back on the elbow crutches because you're going to probably get knee joint problems. And I was crying because I said, I paid this guy, we worked for months and months. I paid him full time to train me, and I'd put all my blood, sweat and tears into walking.
Yes.
They said, no, you might get arthritis in your knees. I'm thinking, I don't care if I get arthritis in my knees, I want to walk,
Yeah.
And how do you know I'm going to get arthritis in my knees? But anyway, I sort of blindly followed them because I felt hopeless and I had nobody, now with the spinal units.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll just follow them. And they were the experts, so-called. And then I went to Medjugorje, this place where there's been having apparitions of Our Lady in Croatia, in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And then when I came back, I made a promise. I thought, that's it. I'm going to walk with without the calipers when I get back, because I know I did it and I could do it before. So I got rid of the calipers and I made a promise there that I would do it.
Great.
And so I was in my bed and I thought, you've got to get up. And I thought, okay, this is the day I'm starting. I'm thinking, walk to the door. Just walk to the bedroom door, because you've done it before, 2 years before, and hadn't done any more training. Okay, I'll try and walk to the door. The whole point was to get to the beach and walk along the beach. I thought, okay, walk to the door. Got to the door. I thought, I walk to the next door, the security door. Then walk down the steps. And then I got to the beach and I thought, I can't believe I'm doing this. I was about to hail a taxi because I thought I want to get back home. I can't keep going. I had to keep telling myself, go a little bit further, go a little bit further. And I would see people I know along the beach and I was thinking, I don't want to let people down, and in me not working my hardest kind of thing.
And I think, that's a really great example of that. The medical professionals, sure, they're experts in their area, but they're not an expert in you. You're the expert in you. And so when you go through your health journey in your life, you will come across so many health practitioners and health professionals, and they've all got information that you can take and you can integrate into your own story. But at the end of the day, you're the one who's in charge of, setting goals, developing, progressing, because they're not going to be there at the end of the day and guiding you and coaching you. You're the one who's going to be there.
That's absolutely true. I remember thinking that when the doctors were saying, I said, you're not in my body. Yeah. You're not in my body, like my brain, my soul, my spirit. You haven't been through what I've been through.
Yes.
How can you tell me this from outside?
Exactly, and they're using their past experiences and their knowledge, which is completely valid, and that's what they're trained to do, and that's what we're all trained to do. I've got training in certain areas, but I don't know your story, and I don't know who you are and what you're capable of. So each person needs to take the information for themselves and integrate it and set their own goals and have their own self-belief.
Beautiful. We're about to go to a break now. You're watching NAT Chat. We'll be back with more very shortly.
Every time we buy certified organic, we're making a choice to help our environment and build a healthier community. But it can be hard to know that what we're buying is truly organic. The Australian Certified Organic logo is only given to products after a very rigorous process. So when you see this logo, it means you can trust that there are no genetically modified foods, no animal cruelty, and no harsh synthetic pesticides used. A healthier community is always better for our future. So the next time you shop, look for this logo.
Are you playing renovation roulette? I'm John Jarrett.
Now I know that deadly asbestos lies hidden in 1/3 of Aussie homes.
It can be found in any home built or renovated before 1987. Lurking in walls, under floor covering, behind tiles, in roofing. Asbestos, it was used everywhere. So if you're a renovator or a tradie, you could be risking your life and the lives of others. Remember, go slow. Asbestos, it's a no-go. Visit asbestosawareness.com.au to learn what you need to know.
Behind your favourite team, there's another team. At all levels, in all codes, sports trainers are working to make sport safer. Sports trainers learn injury prevention techniques from doctors and other health professionals so they can provide the right first aid when the going gets tough.
If your team could do with a sports trainer, maybe it's time you got a little closer to the action.
Find out how you can become a sports trainer. Sports Medicine Australia, providing the team behind the team.
Tick, 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 fashion.
Tick, 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 fun.
Tick, 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 food.
Tick, 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 festivals.
All make up 15 fabulous minutes.
In a half-hour special.
Presented to you by Jacqueline and Steve.
Every week. Time's up.
Hello and welcome back to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Angela Seeger, who is completing her doctorate in health psychology at Deakin University, and we're just discussing goal setting and sabotages and all these wonderful things. Welcome to the program. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, there's a thing where people achieve things. Someone might be achieving something, and then other people around them may get a bit nasty to them or a bit jealous or just nasty, and then when you're on the receiving end, you think, oh, what was that caused for? Why was that there?
Yeah.
Can you explain some of that sort of thing?
Well, I mean, it could be happening for a variety of reasons, but you know, sometimes jealousy can be the result of seeing someone else achieving the goal that you were hoping to achieve. So, you know, in the case of achieving maybe weight loss or a healthy diet or career progression, for example. So people might just be seeing the outcome that you have managed to achieve these things, but they haven't seen the work that you've put in the background. And so it might be just a frustration on their part that they don't know why they haven't achieved it, given all the work that they've been doing.
Yeah, but the worst thing about that is it can make people give up on their own goal, because they feel like if they're causing this much jealousy or upset in other people, then they think, well, why should I bother? It seems to be causing friction in my relationships.
So the person who has achieved the goal might stop because they're causing issues with other people. Yeah, that's a tough one, because you know, you don't want to give up on your own hopes and dreams, but then you don't want to upset other people either. So, I mean, just understanding that them being upset is not necessarily directed at you, it's more a frustration for themselves might be useful. People don't want to see other people fail. It's more that, you know, it's a reflection on, well, what are they not succeeding in, and what challenges are they facing, and if that's the cause of their frustration.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I've heard of people really trying to change their lives in really good ways, and then they actually give up on their own progress because other people aren't comfortable with it.
Right.
It's they think, oh, well, no, I don't trust this because maybe the doctor didn't say it, so you shouldn't do this. But they actually know it's helping them, and they've gotten better from it. But they give in because they're a little bit scared, or someone's maybe saying, oh, you know, you're looking too thin, but then someone else will say, you're looking actually great.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be just swayed by what everyone else around you is saying and thinking. You have to have this strong inner belief, isn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely true, and having, you know, your own sort of ideals and values as driving your behaviour is important. But also, every time we have to resist sort of a negative comment, it takes effort on our part, and we've talked a bit about willpower already, but it's, again, resisting the urge to conform to other people's norm or other people's behaviour. It's a constant effort, and resisting that consistently day after day can wear you down, and you might end up conforming to their behaviour after all. So it's important that when you're trying to live by your values and achieve this behaviour that you've set your eye on and that you're working towards, to surround yourself with positive influences, and that's both in terms of your environment and also in terms of your social interactions as well.
So it's like you try to spend enough time with more time with like-minded people that are trying to achieve the same things or that are doing the same things as you. And then if you come across anyone being negative or jealous about what you're achieving, you can't really stop and explain to everybody, well, actually, there was a process to this. I had to go A, B, C. Because then you're spending all your energy educating everybody else in what you're trying to do, and it's kind of takes it all.
Yeah, it's not a case of where we can just go out and explain to everyone who might have a little bit of latent, jealousy or something like that. But maybe just understanding that their jealousy or their emotion isn't directed at you, really. It's more about them being frustrated that they're not achieving what they want to achieve in their lives. So just having a little bit of compassion regarding, where their emotion is coming from. They're probably having their own challenges in their own life. And it's not necessarily that they wish that you hadn't achieved their goals. It's just frustration that they might be having struggles achieving their own.
But then they also lack the humility to say, how did you do it? Rather than, like some people lack that humility, they'll lash out at you and they'll say, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that can be really challenging, I think, if, being compassionate when you're on the receiving end of some of those comments. Yeah.
But I guess that's, if you look beyond it, you can see that that's what's really going on.
And it does take practice.
Yeah. I remember once I was running these raw vegan workshops, and one of the girls said to me, I need you to make me do it. And I'm thinking, I can't make you do it. I can't. And I said, I'll do the best I can. I can't make you do it, though. That's the thing. You can't make someone do it, even though they want to give you all their power to make them do it, make them be what you're doing. You can't. It's impossible.
No, you can't. And that's the thing. Everybody has their own journey. Everyone has their own process of getting somewhere. And if you cast your mind back to where we were 10 years ago, for example, the journey that you've gone through and the amount of changes that you've had to implement to get to where you are today, there were periods where you may have been jealous of other people. There were periods where you flourished and where you struggled, and that's the same for everybody. So just appreciating that everybody has challenges and times of flourish as well can help us maybe not take comments so personally.
That's right, because jealousy is a very negative thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not that pleasant to be on the receiving end of.
And it's not a nice. I think it's like I can't remember. They say something in the Bible about you shouldn't be jealous. Like jealous is a really bad thing, so you shouldn't be jealous. We should celebrate in other people's good things, and then and in an ideal world, if we can't do it, ask them how they did it.
Well, that would be the best outcome.
Humble ourselves and just say, well, how did you do it? I'd like to be able to do what you've done, and can you show me how you did it?
Yeah, exactly.
They might say, speak to a psychologist. They'll show you how to implement goals.
Hey, yes, well, this is something that we're well practiced in.
Yeah, so it's very good. Well, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's been wonderful having you here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You've been watching NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich, and our guest was Angela Seeger. I hope you enjoyed the program. See you again soon.
Performance Poetry comes your way with Red Lobster every Monday night at 9:30. Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
Hello and welcome to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. Today our guest is Rhiannon Tracy, who sustained a spinal cord injury, incomplete, however. At first she was told it was complete, through diving into a swimming pool, but she'll elaborate on that. But now the good news is she's walking with crutches. She's able to walk with crutches. And I also have my daughter here, so you may see Nina pop her head up every now and then to say hello. Welcome to the program, Rhiannon.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Can you please tell us about your experience? How did you get this injury?
Sure. So I had my spinal cord injury while I was in holiday in Bali on the 18th of September in 2009. So I was diving into a resort swimming pool, a swimming pool that was meant to be a deep swimming pool, but the sides of the pool were actually shallow. So I pin dropped, dived and hit my head and instantly broke my neck, becoming a quadriplegic.
Oh my gosh. And so this happened in Bali. And
Yes.
so what was the next step? What did the doctor say as soon as you had your accident, as soon as you could hear them?
So I was taken pretty quick to a hospital in Bali, had a CT scan and was told that I'd broken my neck. The fragments of the vertebrae were actually piercing into my spinal cord and that I'd need emergency surgery in Bali to remove the fragments. Otherwise I'd be at risk of severing my spinal cord. So my mum basically had to make the decision to have me operated on in Bali, not that she had much choice because we didn't have a lot of time. So I had my initial surgery in Bali and it was a pretty horrific night. Bali had one of their biggest earthquakes while we were waiting for the surgery. So I was operated on in Bali. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital there. I wasn't really told much given the language kind of barrier there. I was just told that I just needed to, focus on connecting my body. I suppose that because I had my accident in Bali, there was more of a kind of spiritual kind of background to recovery. So a lot of the doctors were telling me that I just had to kind of close my eyes and connect my body and they don't know what's going to happen to me. So it was
that's pretty good.
It was. Never. I think it was good because that early intervention was there.
Yeah,
and they were working on my body. While I was in the hospital bed, they didn't do much. I did get very, very sick while I was over there, given that it was a third world country.
Yeah,
I was very lucky to have travel insurance. So a doctor and a nurse were flying over to Bali to fly me back to Australia.
Yeah.
But Bali was actually reiterating to the doctors in Australia that I was well enough to just kind of be at the end of the list. And by the time the doctor and the nurse got over there, I was almost dead. So the hospital care was just terrible. So when I was flown back to Australia, I was given some pretty bad news that everything that they'd tried to fix in Bali had failed and that my neck wasn't even secure on my shoulder. So I'd now need two surgeries to correct what they had tried to fix in Bali. And I had pneumonia as well. I had 2 collapsed lungs, so I was put into an induced coma to allow time for my lungs to heal and for the physios to work on my lungs. So yeah, it was a pretty rough kind of few weeks there, and the doctor did tell my family initially that if I survived the first 24 hours after being back in Australia, to be thankful. But after the surgery, given how many times they needed to operate on the spinal cord, that I would be lucky enough to feed myself, let alone get out of bed again.
Wow. Did they actually touch the spinal cord? They didn't actually touch the spinal cord, they just touched the vertebrae, didn't they?
Yeah, so any work that they have to perform around the spinal cord causes more trauma. So
wow.
The outcome wasn't very good.
Gosh, and so had you come around when they'd said that?
I think I was conscious, but I was so sick that I was very in and out during that whole time. So I was put into an induced coma, I think, for about 5 days and had 2 surgeries in that time. So I was very much in and out a lot.
Right. And then what happened when you actually did come around and they said you got the news that you were going to be staying in bed? What was your reaction to this?
My reaction was to literally ask my parents to kill me. I was 20 at the time. It was 2 months before my 21st birthday. The day before I got on the plane to go to Bali, I'd posted my invitations for my 21st birthday. So you know, I obviously fell into a very, very dark place and just didn't think that life was worth living if it was going to be living in a bed. I guess I was very, very lucky though. I had a great support network of people. My mum is just incredible. I'm her only daughter. She was told she'd never have kids and she had me. So I remember as soon as I woke up, you know, I had a laptop in my face with The Secret, you know, being played to me. And my mum was, you know, there's a gentleman, Morris Goodman, who's the miracle man, quadriplegic, walking again. And so, you know, she was showing me him saying, you know, this is going to be you and you're going to be able to do this. And I was just kind of blasé to the whole situation. So, yeah, it was pretty hard. There was, you know, an abundance of different emotions on how I felt and where I could see myself going. And
And then when she said this, was it giving you hope when your mum was so positive for you?
Definitely. I think, you know, as a child or even as an adult, you always draw kind of hope and the inspiration from your parents. So it didn't really matter to me what the doctors were telling me. I believed more so what was coming from my mum, you know, as opposed to all these medical professionals. As far as I was concerned, you know, they weren't God, my mum was, you know, so...
You make me cry. That's so beautiful. No, because I've met your mum. She's so lovely. She really loves you and she's like so behind you, in encouraging, and you know, you're doing so well. And now you are able to walk with crutches. So you've gone through quite a lot of ups and downs, no doubt, and difficult times to persevere through that. Has it been difficult trying to get the muscle strength back?
I think it's just an ongoing kind of recovery journey. As far as the muscle strength, you know, it's just like any person. You know, muscles deteriorate. You have to, you know, gymnasts have to work on their muscles. They've got to go to the gym, stay fit. And it's more than just about moving those muscles that don't work. It's everything. It's making sure you're eating the right foods, making sure that you're in the right place mentally to allow yourself to, you know, be able to push your body. But I don't think, like for me, I couldn't say that I got this back in this amount of time because it's just been all ongoing. And for me personally, I don't see it as much as other people would see it, you know. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but...
Well, when we get back, we'll go to a break. When we get back, we'll go into a little bit more detail with it. You've been watching NAT Chat. We're going for a break now. We'll be back very shortly.
Every new line means 2 more hands. Join us, lions.org.au.
To every child's development, an important message from the Australian Toy Association.
Hi, I'm Lane Beachley. Australians have recycled enough printer cartridges to cover Bondi Beach 12 times. That's kept 11,000 tonnes of valuable resources out of landfill. Drop your used original cartridges into the special boxes at participating retail outlets, and they'll be turned into new products from pens to road surfaces. Help us keep up the good work. Find out more at cartridges.planetark.org.
Do you currently have a community service announcement on free-to-air television? If you do, you can now submit it to us as well via our website at MELfeed.video. We have lots of time to fill on these broadcasts, and we are sure to give your announcement a great run on MELfeed.video.
Hello and welcome back to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Rhiannon Tracy, who's talking about overcoming her difficulties from having a spinal cord injury, and she was incomplete. At first she was told she wasn't, but then she was told she was because she started to get movement back, and now she's able to walk with crutches. We're just hearing her story, how she got there, so it's very positive. Welcome back to the program. So how did you get there? Like what sort of, for example, what did you do? For someone who's just had their injury or someone who hasn't even tried because they've been told they're never going to walk, what sort of advice could you give them, or can you just tell them your own experience? What did you do?
I think the biggest thing is surrounding yourself with very positive people. I think at one stage I actually asked my mum to just prevent anyone coming into my room in the hospital that had anything negative to say. So for her to do that, it was obviously a bit of a kick fight, but she did it. But, you know, it was all about moving the things that weren't moving. So, you know, the physios were spending time on moving my arms, which were already showing signs of movement. But anything that wasn't showing any kind of sign of recovery, they just left. So for me and my family, it was about whenever there was somebody in the room with me, which was generally, you know, 24 hours a day because my mum was by my bedside all the time, she was moving my legs, my arms, massaging me, you know, giving me different kinds of stimulation throughout my body, you know, just simple things like running a hairbrush up and down my leg just to provide that stimulation so that your brain can remember, you know, the feeling and sensation of things. So, you know, the greatest athletes, they never stop thinking about recovery. They never stop training because when they're not training physically, they're training themselves mentally. And it was always about, if I wasn't doing something physical, I was reading. You know, I was reading about all these people that were making some kind of a recovery after having an injury like this. You know, Morris Goodman, he was one of the first, his story was the first book that I read sitting on the commode chair every morning in the Royal Talbot. So, you know, it was literally spending every moment that I was awake, thinking, moving, thinking about walking, you know, dreaming about it when I wasn't awake. So, you know, it was a 24/7 process. It really was.
So it's like you lived it, breathed it.
That's it.
This is completely occupying your whole being.
That's right.
To walk.
Yeah.
And then what did you actually do to walk physically? What sort of strength did you do? What sort of exercises did you do? Like, did you just try and contract your toes to get your toes moving? How did you do that, and for how long?
So about a month and a half after being in the ward, I was still on 3 North, so I was still on the spinal ward. My big toe on my left foot actually started flicking. Like, I'd think about it and a couple minutes later it would flick. And or it would move. So that was the first kind of exciting thing to happen. And, you know, spinal cord injury it's so, you know, it is just so crazy with how it works. So basically what happens is when you have a spinal cord injury, it's a traffic jam between your brain and your spinal cord. So when you're thinking about something, which is what happens and then travels its way down the spinal cord to make those things that you're thinking about actually happen, there's a blockage there. So I would think about moving my toe, but it might take a few minutes for that message to get down because it was trying to find an alternative route to get there. So, you know, even when this was happening, we were arguing with the doctors and the nurses because I'd sit there and say, my toe's going to move, my toe's going to move. And we'd sit there and wait for it to happen, and wouldn't happen for a few minutes. They'd leave the room and then it would happen, you know. So it's just so kind of in depth and just difficult to understand this injury. And, you know, I think the most crazy thing is that spinal cord injury, it's like a snowflake. Like, there's no two injuries that are the same. Like, you could put me in a room with 5 other people with the same level of injury, and every single one of us would have different mobility, different feeling, different sensation. So,
and did you find that you kept, like, say with that toe, did you just keep trying to move the toe and just trying until that toe finally moved?
For me, as far as I was concerned, my toe was the furthest thing from my brain. So if I was moving my toe, I felt like the gaps in between could be filled. So it was literally thinking about moving everything, closing my eyes and focusing on, you know, moving my little finger or just anything in between and just building on it from there.
And did you find that you did this kind of all your waking hours, or were you?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And did anyone ever tell you not to try, that it's not going to happen?
On many occasions. But as far as I was concerned, I could sit on my butt and do nothing and be miserable for the rest of my life, or I could try.
Exactly. That's the main message, isn't it?
That's it.
Give it a try. If you don't know, you don't know, you can't just take what other people's doctors and physios say as the truth if they haven't been through it themselves. They're not in your body to go through it.
I suppose, that was huge for me too, because these people were people that had never even experienced this injury, and as far as I knew, nobody knows this injury better than somebody with it. So I drew a lot of what was a possibility from people that had the injury. I started talking to people that had been injured and were doing things that they were told impossible, and someone told me, the word impossible says I'm possible, so gotta look at it like that.
That's good.
Yeah.
And with the book from Morris Goodman, is that called Miracle Man, the book?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that still out?
It is. I think I bought it on eBay. I became a bit addicted to eBay when I was in the Royal Talbot because I had nothing else to do. So I was buying, gym equipment and all these books.
Oh, fantastic. Because I knew he had a video. My sister bought the video to me, I remember.
Yeah.
And so he's got a book. That's wonderful. Fantastic.
I think I gave the book to someone else who was in Talbot, and so I don't have it anymore.
Passed it on.
Yeah,
pay it forward.
That's it. That's right.
That's beautiful. And you also you appeared on TV as well. You did like a fundraiser to raise some money. And just tell us about that story. What happened?
So it wasn't initially I had my story on A Current Affair when I was in the Royal Talbot, and that was to raise funds for my recovery. So because I had my injury in Bali, there was no compensation for it in Australia. So it wasn't a road accident, it wasn't work compo. So my family had to fundraise or sell anything and everything just for the simplest things like catheters and commode chairs and stuff like that. So A Current Affair did a story on me while I was in the Royal Talbot. And since then, I've gone on to do a lot of advocacy segments for other TV programs.
Beautiful. We'll have to talk a little bit more about that. We're about to go to a break. You're watching NAT Chat. Hope you're enjoying the program. We'll see you again very shortly. And Nina's here too.
So how have things been going?
When a young person is diagnosed with cancer, it affects their family, their friends, their entire world. Red Kite supports young people with cancer and those around them in real ways.
Yeah, hi, it's Michael. Yeah, I'm at the hospital.
We rely on your generosity to make a positive difference in the lives of thousands of families every year. We can't always make things better, but with your help, we can lighten the load.
Hello and welcome back to NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Rhiannon and Tracy and little Nina here as well. And I hope you're enjoying the program. We're interviewing Rhiannon about her spinal cord injury, how she's able to walk with crutches now after diving into a swimming pool. Welcome back to the program. And you dove into the swimming pool, not, thinking it was deep, because your experience was that it was a... Can you just recap on that?
So the swimming pool, there was 2 swimming pools in the resort, a front and a back pool. The front pool was a shallow pool, the back pool was a deep pool. But even though the centre of the pool was deep, the sides were shallow, so I actually didn't dive into the centre far enough and hit my head on the shallow.
Okay, so you thought you were probably... Did you know it was shallow, but you just thought, I'm going into the deep end?
I hadn't swum in the pool since the year before, so I'd completely forgotten, and it was at night time, so...
Oh, you poor thing. Oh, well, anyway, you've got an amazing story, you've done a lot with it, but I'm sure there would have been moments when, this is what we'd like to know as well, when it was really, really dark and difficult. How did you pull through those moments when it was really difficult? Because I guess you've got to go through them to get out of the other side, isn't it? You can't just pretend things don't exist.
I guess knowing that even though, my situation might have felt like the worst situation in the world for me personally, knowing that there was there was always going to be someone out there that was worse off than me is what really got me through it. And I remember the first time that I was taken out of my room at the Royal Talbot, my mum took me into the kitchen and I was in this big Battlestar Galactica chair that I couldn't push on my own. I had cushions behind me and everything like that. I couldn't move. And I remember my mum taking me into the kitchen at Royal Talbot. And I just started crying and my mum was like, "It's okay, Rhiannon." And I was like, "No, I'm not crying because of me. I'm crying because I'm lucky to, be able to be here, have you, and, still do some things on my own." Whereas, there was 5 or 6 other people in the kitchen that literally couldn't move a thing, So for me, knowing that this wasn't the worst thing in the world, as far as I could see, the only thing worse than this injury was death, and I was still alive. So I think that's what got me through it. And also knowing and meeting the people that I met along my journey, just continually drawing inspiration from others.
And did you find that you came across other people who went to the Royal Talbot or who had spinal injuries along the way, that you actually physically met them, that were walking as well and could share their stories a little bit with you as well?
Most definitely. So the first walking quadriplegic that I met was Harry Zack.
Yes.
And I remember sitting in my room, and it was just perfect timing, because I think it was after a What's Out There day at Royal Talbot. And I was sitting in my room just playing on my computer, and I still remember him standing in the doorway and he goes, "Rhiannon, I heard you wanted to meet a walking quad." And I turned around and I just looked at this man standing that you wouldn't even think that he was a quadriplegic. He has issues that go on internally as far as pain and other complications, but to have that visual in front of me, even though our injuries were very, very different, just hearing that word, walking quadriplegic, I was like, okay, this is possible. I can do this, So it was meeting people like him. Facebook can be used for the right reasons and it can be used for the wrong reasons. But for me, social media at that point of my life, I'm so thankful for, because it was the best way to connect with other people that had this injury.
Wow. And how did Harry help you? Did he talk much to you? And
I think Harry spent a few hours in my room just talking to me about everything. And we watched a video of a new segment, I think, that he'd been on. He'd dealt with other issues like sleep apnea and everything since having his injury. And I guess that's the thing that people don't understand. It's not a what you see is what you get injury.
Absolutely.
There are so many different complications that go on with having this injury, like low immunity, bowel and bladder issues, pain, pain. I'm so thankful that I've never had to deal with nerve pain. And I've asked the question, why? Why have I never had nerve pain? And there's no answer for it. It's so complex. But just hearing somebody else's experiences just pepped me right up.
Yeah. It is too, isn't it? You see them walking, you see they've worked through it, they've had the difficulty as well.
And they can come out smiling,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, exactly. And have you managed to pass on what you know to anyone else? Or I suppose you've got your blogs and all that kind of thing, haven't you?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So because there was only like a very small handful of people that I met while I was in the hospital, I even had people say, you know, I've learnt with this injury there are some good people and there are some not so good people. So I even had people promise that they were going to come into the hospital and meet me and never did. And that obviously would get me very down.
These were people that
had recovered.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
But I wanted to make sure that I was going to use a negative situation and turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
So I made sure that once I was well and fit enough, and once I had some experiences, which I still do 6 years post, that I was going to, you know, use that for the right reason, share my story, not just for people that have had an injury or a disability, even able-bodied people that go through trauma in their life that they need a little bit of a push to help get over.
Yeah.
I made that decision that that's exactly what I was going to do. And people said to me so many times, everything happens for a reason when I was in hospital. And at that time, I wanted to punch them all in the face. But now I know that that's just the case because I have been able to do some pretty incredible things.
Yeah. And so the journey's been quite an interesting journey, and the people that you've met, the struggles you've overcome.
I think everyone goes through struggles and things that they need to overcome. Just having a spinal cord injury is something else. But I've had lots of things happen in my life since having my injury that normal people go through, and it's been harder to get through those struggles because I've had my injury.
On top of that,
You know, so it's definitely that little bit of extra stress, and it's not just the stress of having the injury, but it's the stress of having the finances to sustain the injury and, you know, the things that you need when you've got the injury. So there's definitely extra stress there on an everyday basis. But it's exactly what you say. You've just got to draw strength to be able to push through.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I
anyway,
do.
you have gone on to do quite a few good things to help other people, like starting up the Next Step and also doing Wings for Life Run. But we'll talk about that the next episode. Would you like to come back again?
I would love to. Thank you.
Beautiful. You've been watching NAT Chat. I'm Mirella Rich. Our guest was Rhiannon Tracy, and here I have my little pumpkin here, Nina. See you again soon.
Locals here made the shocking discovery this morning. Police have sealed off the entire beach.
There is a killer. One of the worst killers in Australia. Skin cancer. Every year, skin cancer kills over 1,700 Australians. Don't be a victim. This summer, protect yourself against skin cancer.
Here are the current weather readings for Melbourne, Geelong, Ballarat, Shepparton, Bendigo and Echuca on the MELfeed.video weather wall. It also includes tomorrow's forecast and expected minimum temperatures in these areas overnight. This is the MELfeed.video weather wall on a different sort of TV. MELfeed.video.
Alleluia. Om You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Jessie Kaur-Singh, peace and rights activist. Thank you once again, Jessie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
In our previous conversations, it's emerged that there's certainly a need for healing, and there is in fact a healing taking place, which seems to rest at several levels. There's the local and the global. The local, tribal, allowing that we are all tribal, the local tribal healing process, what do you think that might look like on the basis of your experience with that?
I think we're going through a very interesting time right now. Yes, I feel very positive. I suppose that's part of being a Sikh. We always look at Chaddi Kala, which is to be in optimism, always to be in positive thoughts. And through these interfaith organizations that's taking, interfaith dialogue, multiculturalism, there is a lot of healing that's taking place, you know, from children, schools and universities, and then come up with our government. And day by day, with the amount of refugees that are coming, you know, the whole world beginning to become one small global world or community. Yes. We've got no choice but to embrace each other. And I feel that the indigenous community, first healing at the local level or the backyard, as you say. What's happened here in Australia, we got the media now with the Aboriginal TV. The stories being told by everybody, a chance for us to listen. There's already a lot of healing that's taking place. And we just need to keep carrying on working with that. We need to work with our Aboriginal brothers, bring them into the fold of everything that's happening. We've had multiculturalism separated from the First Nations people. We always say, for that, it's a big different area. We've had the mainstream, the white nation, separated from the multiculturalism again. Funding being put in such a way that it addresses three different. I think more and more we need to overlap each other. We have to keep building that bridge, and that's happening. I think on every board we need to have the so-called mainstream, because there's no mainstream anymore. We all have become mainstream. Aboriginal representation. We also need to have multicultural representation and the mainstream, if we still want to use that word, and bring the wisdom of everybody together. And as we can see, it's already beginning to happen.
You were telling me a story about, and I don't know whether it was the World Parliament of Religions, but where was it that you experienced the absence of the Aboriginal spirituality as a list? Yes.
A few years ago, APRO, it is an organization on religions in Australia. There was a gathering. It was, I think, the first gathering. This was just before the Parliament of World Religions had come here. Okay. And I think it was instigated by Professor Des Cahill and Professor Gary Boomer and all to form a national body. Yes. And I was invited to represent the Sikh faith at this gathering in Sydney. And when I entered in there, I saw on the board, they had written Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, all the mainstream religions there. And I was quite amazed that the Aboriginal spirituality was not, or Aboriginal as first. So the program started with an Aboriginal elder doing a welcome, and I was very disturbed about it. I put my hand up, in fact, before the panel started. I said, I've got concern. I said, I don't see the word Aboriginal on the top of this list or in that list. How come that list? And immediately two of the panelists, and it happened to be a Christian and a Baha'i, who spoke and said, but they come under. And I looked up, I said, what do you mean? So I pulled my chair and said, but they're not sitting under my chair. And I started walking to them, are they sitting under your chair? I think people were quite amused and yet very concerned with what had happened. And I then said, isn't it time that we have our Aboriginal brothers and sisters sitting alongside you know, have a chair separate to our chair. They don't have to sit on the floor when we are sitting on the chair. We either all sit on the floor or we all sit on the chair.
Yes.
And sure enough, that was a great start because the word Aboriginal got put right on the top, and I was very happy. And I think, I tell you, at that event, there was a buzz afterwards. The Aboriginal the couple, the elders that were there, and now there was a couple of elders, actually a professor who came from the Dalit community in India was there, and he came running to me and said, thank you very much, because they've experienced such discrimination. They call the untouchables, you know, to give them a chair. And that's how healing is. We're talking of healing. How are we going to heal? We got to sit alongside.
Yes.
In fact, invite the first person who has been in the room, respect the first person who has been in that room before you. Yes. And it happened to be the First Nations people. We can say, oh yeah, everybody has been migrating in this planet at all times, but they happen to be here before us. So let's respect them.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that absence of the awareness of First Peoples haunts us. You go to even places like Japan, their First People are invisible, and it really robs the communities of contact with the essence of the place where they're living. It's really...
And I've been very lucky. In fact, we're talking of global healing. I've been part of this interfaith movement, forums on education, health, peacemaking, right across the world, even in Taiwan, Japan, and all. And I'm seeing that, you know, it always starts with an Aboriginal dance or the dance of the original people. And now not only it starts with the dance, but to have them sitting there is beginning to be acknowledged. And that spirituality of the Japanese people, for instance, you know, it is so, my God, you know, you feel your head ends when you're there. You can feel that whole, and lots to be done, but we must do it. We must do
intense.
it. And globally?
Before we go globally, because that's a big story, we'll just take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Most of us experience life's ups and downs, but we can always appreciate the finer details that make life worth living. But for 1 in 5 of us, mental illness can make us lose sight of the big picture. That's when Paran Mission can lend a helping hand. We've been caring for the community for over 60 years, finding a place for people with no place. Show your support and stand up for mental illness. Visit our website and make a donation today.
Here is some brilliant news for adults who have difficulties with spelling, reading a newspaper or phone bill, or writing letters and emails. It can be easier to improve your reading and writing skills than to keep putting it off. Take the plunge. Call the Reading Writing Hotline, 1300 655506.
1300 655506.
It could change your life.
Transports of Distant Delight is a mixed selection of transportation pictures from here and there and almost everywhere, but not quite. Some quirky, some mundane, some from the past, perhaps reflecting a transit system that has vanished into history, and some from thriving transport entities that continue to endure despite the constant pressures from the all-pervasive motor car. Enjoy.
Hallelujah.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Jessie Kaur Singh, a peace and rights activist. And just before the break, we were just about to address the need for healing at a tribal level globally. big task.
Yes. It's, I talked earlier about the Yoruba gathering and then the Mayan gathering. And we also touched on in earlier conversations about the environment. It's really interesting how the Creator wanting us to reach out to one another. There's been floods and there's been earthquakes and the tsunami taking place, and it's about us reaching out to one another. I think we look at any little disaster or anything that happens wrong in our lives as the Creator awakening the healing that needs to take place. And that becomes an excuse for us to actually get up and do something, go into action of healing. If you remember a couple of years ago now, I think we had the Sondon tsunami and earthquake, the floods that took place in Mindanao, which is a very troubled area at that time. It's going into peace now. We had the Bangsamoro, the Muslim surgeons on wanting to make the southern Philippines into an Islamic state, and that big fight that was there. Sudan came, the floods had washed away much of the mountains into nothingness, and we have a youth ambassador from there who is a prince of the tribal community, Lenalio, who I had linked with in my previous gatherings to URI and various other, who had cried out for help and said, "Mom, we are dying, people are just getting eroded, what can we do?" So Common and Win Foundation, the Women's Interfaith Network, went into a project of sending a container of goods, food, rice, little things for that, reaching out to that community. And they were the tribal community that had cried out. And unfortunately, there was a lot of aid, the government aid and charities from Christian missionaries who had gone into that Mindanao, the very troubled area. But it did not reach out to the tribal community because of the infrastructure. There's no roads reaching out to that. They're the neglected people. So we decided to do something there. And since then, it gave me an opportunity to actually go to Mindanao, and I had an opportunity of addressing village after village, which I got taken, and we talked about peace and that empowerment of their being and their involvement of being part of the peace process. And since then, we've started seeing peace there. I talked to many of the villages when I was speaking. I was saying to them how blessed they are because they have so much of food. Their plants, their trees with mangoes and fruits growing out of it. I said, what do we have? Many people who we call the third world tend to look at the so-called developed world, and what have we got? Concrete jungles we live in. And just empowering and say how blessed they are. Your water is so fresh, and the Creator, all right, the floods have taken place. If the floods had not taken place, I won't be here today connected with you all. And maybe the water has become so clean since. Just like when the tsunami took place in Indonesia, those beaches were so filthy before then, had become clean. The sand had become white again. So it was a fresh starting, and now we've got a school project that's going on, and we've got an international tribal society that's been formed out of connecting with all the tribal people. Globally, we have to start somewhere with this healing. Besides healing ourselves within our own faiths, and there's a lot of intra-dialogue that needs to take place, because it starts with intra-dialogue and then the interfaith dialogue. So, and I know the Christian community, there's people coming together and they're all talking. I know there's been a lot of work within the Council of Churches, within the different denominations of the Christian religion, and hopefully will heal to that oneness. And the Aboriginal community around the world, the First Nations people, if you go to Malaysia, we call them Orang Asli, they were not they've not been part of anything. But many of these young people now have gone to school, they've become lawyers, they've become somebody, and that empowerment to their equal rights of being part of it is beginning to happen right across the world. So healing with the tribal communities is so important, and it's happening, and we just need to make sure that we give a special attention to that. Once the First Nation peoples are healed, we will all follow suit. Peace is ours to take.
Yeah, I think one of the key issues, in my experience anyway, is that intra-dialogue, because oftentimes tribal communities have within them their own very considerable divisions, and that applies with Aborigines in Australia. I was going to say particularly, but probably not particularly. It's probably, I know with American Indians it's the same. How did that intra-dialogue, what's the engine behind that?
Look, we are all developing as beings. Now for us to say that it doesn't, that intra-dialogue or that disturbance within our own is there within. Look at our governments. I mean, we're supposed to be educated. Look at the way that they fight with each other, right? In the parliament, I mean, they call each other names. So that intra has to be taken. With the word respect, respect seems to have been thrown away to be able to speak. We speak with such foul language, almost like people can't have conversation unless they use the four-letter word, That's right. We need to acknowledge that we've gone wrong as human society. Within households, two brothers, they're out there to kill each other, and it probably is over land or sometimes just can't see eye to eye in their views. No.
That's right.
I want to remind us all that we all have got a lot of work to do, and to remember that we are on the journey, and we should be looking at our inner self to see how we can become one with ourselves and with whoever is sitting next to us.
We are on a journey, and the journey is towards the hand of the clock. So we'll take a break, and we'll be back in a moment.
It's easy for things to go wrong around water. More so if you can't swim.
It's great seeing kids confident in the water and enjoying themselves. An important part of keeping kids safer around water is learning to swim.
There are over 600 registered swimming schools that run the Australian Unity Learn to Swim program. To find one, go to the Swim Australia website.
I want to get the word out to blokes about a little gland called the prostate. It's only the size of a walnut, but it can cause a whole lot of grief. Prostate cancer deaths pretty much equal breast cancer deaths. The problem is, if you wait too long, it may be too late. It took one of my mates. Don't make me angry. Talk to your doctor about your prostate, and if necessary, get it checked. You'd be nuts to leave it to chance.
Imagine not seeing the world you live in. Macular disease is Australia's leading cause of blindness. Donate now to Macular Disease Foundation Australia. Call 1800 111 709 or visit mdfoundation.com.au.
Behind every great athlete, there is a great support network. Australian Athletes with a Disability and Wheelchair Sports Australia help athletes realise their full potential.
Gonna go from 3, yes!
No matter their ability, we're there to support them. Sporting opportunities for all abilities. For more information, visit sports.org.au.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and we're speaking with Jessie Kaur Singh, a peace activist. Jessie, in all of this interfacing and this tribal issue, and accepting, as I trust you probably will, that each of us has our own tribal drivers in different ways. how do we bring about that generous interface, that interface which takes account of our diversity and lays it over top, and it becomes harmony. That word harmony, how do you see that rooting itself?
Well, the fact that the world is becoming so small, the fact is that we face each other. Instead of putting stories in the background, to face them is the way to go. It's like many of our young people, they are not the ones who were there killing each other. Their ancestors might have done it, and they're suffering, it's so painful to know, oh my God, I belong to an ancestor who actually killed X amount of Aboriginal people when they landed in here. It's a very painful thing. So this is where sharing of face-to-face stories is important, and it's already beginning to happen. I mean, that's the programs. That's why I think we need to invest more into the work that we are doing in the interfaith area. I'll give you a little story. We talked of Uncle Reg and Auntie Walda.
Yes.
When the Parliament of World Religions took place, which we played a big role in bringing it here, because we knew that sometimes you need an external to come into the area to empower yourness.
Yes.
Yes. So that's what happened. And we were invited to go on a trip with some of our visitors to the Yota Yota nations. And we did a pre-trip there where we met the women, the elders of the Yota Yota nation. And with us was some of the Catholic sisters that had come along. And there was this, as soon as they entered, it's like the white going into the black area, and like, what are they doing here, into our territory. And this is where Jamil and myself, were able to play that mediatory role, and actually bringing out, we talked about the stolen generation. They were telling how they had to hide their children under the water, and how, as soon as they had signs, there were little signs that if the police were coming into. So I actually turned around to Sister Bernadette and Sister Walsh and said, but sisters, you all were there, and you knew that these children that were brought by the police were, the Aboriginal children, they were stolen. I mean, they were taken from them. And the sister said, we didn't know. The police brought the children and said that they had no homes, and we started looking after them. And for that to happen right where the Aboriginal sisters were, that story, and for me to actually instigate that conversation, suddenly there was this break of pain that both sides were carrying.
Yes.
And that evening was the most wonderful dinner we had together. Suddenly the door had opened for Sister Bernadette and the other sisters that were there, the nuns. And this side, the Aboriginal sisters who didn't know that these sisters did not know.
No, very important.
Very important. So this dialogue between the young and the old, nobody needs to carry the pain of the ancestors. Who we were then, we might have been, as a Sikh, we believed that you could have been traveling a journey and you could have been the very black person or the Aboriginal person on the receiving end then.
That's right.
Now born in the color that we are, in the religion that we are, so that we can bring healing to ourselves.
Yes. There is the thesis abroad, which I subscribe to, is the fact that Australia, in fact, is a country founded on grief, and that grief remains unresolved. And we're talking about maybe a way to unresolve that grief, or is to resolve that grief.
Yes, we've had lots of dialogue on that one, and Common has, played a big role in trying to resolve some of this grief. But then the world has, it's been interesting because I've been listening and watching the program, The Bible, and the world was born on grief. So really, it's not Australia alone. I think the whole creation of human life has been, the Christian view of it is grief.
Yes.
And then when you go to the birth of religions, even Sikhism, it was grief in some ways, the pain that one is bullying the other, and women being told to burn themselves at times when their husbands died. Those were sort of rituals that, Sikhism was born out to say enough is enough, you know.
That's right.
So yeah, that grief goes on, but we need to become one with ourselves. We need to heal ourselves. Once we start healing ourselves, you know, you attract. I was saying to another friend yesterday, just keep smiling, because when you smile, the smile then becomes internal.
That's true. I think there's another aspect to it, is alienation, because when you look at the world as a whole, in the whole of creation, there is no grief. It's only in the human perspective that there's grief. So the fact we're alienated from the whole is why we suffer the grief, and we don't allow our smile internally to prosper.
Yes.
Would you agree with that concept?
Yes, very much so. I mean, the whole concept that we're all one, we're all brothers and sisters. You know, if somebody hurts you, then you can turn to the other brother for shelter for that moment until that healing can take place for us to become one with that brother.
Yes.
But for us to know that it doesn't matter what color we are, what religion we are, we're one human race, you know.
Yes.
And for us to start caring for one another, and that's the way it's going to heal. And there shouldn't be any superior complex or inferior complexes at all.
No.
We sit equally with each other. Happily sit on the floor together, or sit on chairs on together. We're all princesses and prince. We're all born majestic. Let's be majestic. That doesn't mean that I'm a prince, I can now destroy everybody. Prince means looking after. To be a leader is actually to become the servant of all.
Yes, well, that rounds on a on a statement which reverberates through the scriptures of most of the religions. Jessie, thank you very much, and I've enjoyed these programs. Thank you for watching, and next week we'll return with another guest.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu
For over 80 years, the Royal Flying Doctor Service has been providing a mantle of safety across our vast land. Last year alone, they attended to more than 250,000 patients and flew over 23 million kilometres. That's the equivalent of flying to the moon and back every fortnight. Whether it's an emergency rescue, delivery of urgent medical supplies, or an air ambulance transfer to a major city hospital, the Flying Doctor is always out there for everyone. Let's keep it that way. Donations to the Royal Flying Doctor Service can be made online, by cheque, or by calling the number on your screen now. All donations over $2 are tax deductible. So please give generously and help keep the doctor flying.
This bank is helping to save lives. Every year, 500,000 Victorians have no idea where their next meal is coming from. Food Bank Victoria works with farmers, supermarkets and manufacturers to make sure their surplus stock ends up here, to be distributed to those in need. But all of this is not enough. Right now, this bank needs interest, your interest, to support Victorians in need. If you can help, visit foodbankvictoria.org.au.
If you were living on the streets, wouldn't you want more than just your best friend to keep you safe and warm? Donate to Backpack Bed for Homeless and give warm, waterproof protection and dignity tonight. Call 1300 OzHelp.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV.
The following program carries an MA classification and may contain adult themes and coarse language. MELfeed Video advises that it is suitable for viewers aged 15 plus.
This is a sort of sound poem. This is a sound poem. This poem is a sound. Is this a poem sound? Is this sound a poem? Is a poem this sound? Is this a poem sound? A poem is this sound. This poem is sound A. This soem is a pound. Thoem is a piss sound. This is a pose mound. His son is a dumb poet. This, a poem, is no sud. Oh Sodom, this is a pun. Poems sound a thisy. So this is a nud poem. Poo me, this is the sun. I know as I doth mess up. A po is un, so is thudum. Thap is so undum, o is. Unpo ethos is mad. Sis a sothi done poem. Ha pussy is dent moo. This a poem isn't so ud. Thank you.
Ashbery claimed that there was nothing left to write about, which left me bereft but got me thinking. Poetry, it seems to me, is the equivalent of winking these days, or drinking. We wink to hint at shared ideas. Lend me your ears, though I have them already. Your and my views match, they're steady. You're here to listen to concepts you already know, and though the flow of my words might glisten a cheek or two, there's nothing new. This threw me. Am I right? I could write a political poem and condemn the world till 2 a.m. There's plenty of material, enough to get some serious arterial action going on and gain a reaction, but such interaction doesn't tell you anything new, does it? You know it already, so why would I do it? So we could collectively cringe and talk our way through it, rise up on raw rhyme and binge out and rip through it. Let's rebel, wink, wink. Let's kick up a stink. You know what I think, wink, 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 wink. And poetry is drinking, see? We drink to lose our inhibitions. It's confidence of our opinions in a bottle. We can throttle trepidations in the limelight of a spirit-filtered night, and surely writing has the same effect. It allows me to subject on you what my mind often puts me through, and by doing so subdues the awful chatter and the clatter of that massive pink-grey matter camping out inside my head. But is this fair and is this new, to put you through what I'm put through? And really, do you even care? My heart's been shattered many times and I've recorded it in rhymes, but do you even really care? Now I feel like a Descartes. I've torn my freaking words apart. Damn you, Ashbery, and your art. I'm not sure how to even start rebuilding what I've just demolished. Man, this poem's far from polished. Really, I should just abolish the whole thing and start again, but then again I'm missing something. Something that this poem's bringing, something that this poem's singing, something that this poem's slinging at me that I just can't see. No, wait, of course, clear as can be. It's new. Thank you.
Just before I bleed, I want to fucking die. To put the barrel to my head and feel what it feels like to blow myself up in smithereens. I know what it's like to be a sardine in a tin that's in the shape of a shiny oblong with beveled edges and a wrinkle on the lid. Curled up into my brother, my sister and my mother and carried away to nowhere. Just before I bleed, I feel so fucking alone. And I know what it means to be nothing and not exist. And I have travelled because I am gone from my head. Just before I bleed, I lie there and I lie there and I twist and I turn and I'm anxious and I'm worried that no one will love me, that I'm dead, that I'm alone, in my bed without my head to shut my eyes to go to sleep. Just before I bleed, I feel huge. I feel giant. I want to feel my bones, to be rid of the fat, to be hungry, to be the rumble like thunder, loud enough for all to hear, that I'm empty in my head, that I'm full in the gut, and I'm gone so far, and I'm gone so far away. I want the skin to be torn. I want the cheeks to be gaunt. I just want to feel fucking beautiful just before I bleed.
Pick your poison. You're not my screwdriver. You're not my Mountain Dew either. Not my Budweiser, Appletiser or Jägermeister. You're not my Red Bull Spider or warm milk either. Not my UDL, Cooler, Cruiser or Breezer. Neither my Lemon Rusky nor my Gaytime Crushy. You're not my Smoothie nor my Slurpee or Slushy. You're not my Hazelnut Mocha nor my Swiss Mountain Malt, and not my bottle of vodka or my Cosmopolitan. You're not my can of Coke, you're not my Fanta Float, you're not my vial of poison or my antidote. You're not my elixir, ambrosia or nectar, not my post-mix cola or Dr. Pepper. You're not my warm sake, you're not my Bacardi, just my luck. You're not my keg at a party. You're not my cappuccino, mugacchino or macchiato. You're not my latte, frappuccino or affogato. You're not my cordial nor my Alka-Pop, not my Big M absinthe wine or 7-Up. Don't look at me like, is that all you got? There's Pepsi, Lift, Solo, Sprite, and all these you're not. You're no Ribena or vodka martini, not quite margarita, G&T nor VB. You're not a milkshake, thick shake, fruit punch or V. I'm afraid you're simply my cup of tea.
I'm able to dream, I'm able to smile, I'm able to grow, and I'll go the extra mile, one day at a time. So put your hands together, we can change lives forever. Together, we're able.
Able Australia. Together, we're able.
If a man's home is his castle, his shed is his kingdom. It's a place men can hang out with a few mates, build a few things, even if you haven't before, and give back to the community. No man should be without a shed. The Australian Men's Shed Association is working to provide a shed for all Australian men, and they have over 400 already. Visit your local shed, build your community, and make a difference. Find a shed near you. It's time to give back.
Hot water storage tanks can be a breeding ground for Legionnaire's disease bacteria. You can catch Legionnaire's disease by inhaling small droplets of infected water during showers or other activities. To prevent this from happening, you should never reduce the temperature setting. Tank temperature should be left as set by your plumber. Or eliminate the problem completely with a tankless gas hot water system. For more information, visit healthyhotwater.com.au.
Now on MELfeed Video, here are the latest Monday Tats Lotto results just drawn a short time ago under government supervision. All results shown are subject to confirmation. We hope that these numbers brought you a little bit of luck tonight. If not, there's always next week. Stay tuned to MELfeed Video for more great programs this evening.
Post-epic fit. Built a boat of human skin to float along a coast to a place where the rivers flow in. Begat an outpouring of joy and singing, snakes swimming in the creeks being caught and threaded into lay. With the behoola strumming gently from the playa, the vin de paillis cooling to love temperature. He knew, never. The imago of golden Helen released from her eggshell, striped camellia crown, gown of pearled testicle, smile of a Lucinian knowing, falling from a cloudless sky onto a lake north of Wentworth, where the emu are hunted by ghosts of travellers past. Undying grey lady, gazing from the castle's haunted windows, the bridal chair left unseated, her bloodied bare arms torn like silk caught in briars. There are no accidents. The note conjectured, then went on. Only sign of unconscious exposition.
This was headlines in the paper a few weeks ago. Now that once again she is single, I can't help but wonder if Cara Bingle with me would like to mingle. Well, time with me she didn't want to share. I reminded her that I was a millionaire, and about that she seemed to care. Oh, good. Now that she's broken up with Michael Clark, so her life won't be so bare and stark, I told her that I would buy her a viola and she could play it while she tried to burn Brendan Favola.
Yell, make ecstatic applause, that's right. It is rare, unfortunately rare, that you find two human beings so eloquent, erudite, and delicious as a steak on steak night at the Cornish Arms. But such a duo has been found, and tonight they are our features. They perform at the Overload Poetry Festival, and you can find some of them from time to time. Put your phone on vibrate. Getting back to the national news, Anna and Morris are two fantastic poets, but they're also two fantastic people. They have supported poetry in Melbourne for quite a long time and still find moments to have a glass of red wine and cheer on the poets at Passionate Tongues, at Dancing Dog, or Westward. Sometimes you can find them maybe even at Clay Pots. I believe you can find them from time to time at the Dan O'Connell. But what they are for us tonight, they are an experience with poetry, economy of words, and intensity of feeling that I don't think we could ask for a better duo for the feature tonight. So please, ladies and gentlemen, as I make them blush and fantasize about metaphors that stutter, put your hands together for the feature for the Muddy River Slam April. Clap loudly for Anna Fern and Morris McNamara.
Anna's going to lead us off with a poem about Footscray, I think.
Yeah, it's a found sound poem, and I'm going to give Morris some percussion to play with.
Yeah, but I'm crap at rhythm. Neighbourhood dog. In my early days of hatred, when I was feeling my way towards it, I used to hate cats. But how much noise does a cat make? Now, I hate dogs. Not just any dog. I'm not psychotic. But the dog next door, the dog 3 doors down, the dog across the road. When they're not barking at me, and I'm just sitting in the backyard minding my own business, they're barking at each other. Hello, I'm a dog. Hello, I'm a dog. Hello, I'm a dog. Pack leader, are you on heat? No, I don't think so. But the dog 3 doors over is on heat. I'm Sylvester Stallone. I'm Richard Burton. I'm Paul McCartney. Yep, yep, yep. Dogs lay pink and yellow turds on the footpath to put your foot in. Hello, stranger dog. So, you want to root my knee, my thigh? You want to lick my balls? Get the hell out of it, dog. Lying on the beach, crystalline sea, dog takes dump beside you. And you can see the strain on doggy face, the anxiety, the desire to please before he bounds back to proud owner. He tried to cover it, really, truly. There's sand all over your face. I don't want to think about how many sleeping pills sewed up inside a steak would kill a dog. But I'm checking out the bathroom cupboard. I used to believe in the United Nations of Chihuahuas and Dalmatians, but right now, I want to go out to a Korean restaurant. Eat dog with chili and maybe oyster sauce.
You're there when they can't sleep. You're there when they forget. But who's there when they're at school? Asthma can be serious. It affects 1 in 10 Australians and claims 400 lives each year. Does anyone at your school know what to do in an asthma emergency? Log on to asthmafriendlyschools.org.au and find out if your school is asthma friendly. Shouldn't every school be asthma friendly?
Every time you shop, the choices you make affect our community. It is important to select Australian products made by Aussie-owned companies. Our food security means quality and peace of mind. Your purchasing power keeps your dollars multiplying in our economy, keeping jobs, profits and decisions being made right here, which is better for your children. So the next time you buy, look for the AusBuy logo. It makes all the difference.
Come on, fellas. Let's get down there.
Hang on. Where's Dave?
Oh, hey, fellas. What do you think? Pretty cool, eh?
Real men look out for each other. Don't let your mates drink and drown.
Fabulous minutes every week. Meet the famous, the fortunate and the fashionable as Steve and Jacqueline take you to all the events around town. Not to be missed, it's the most fabulous 15 minutes you'll ever see.
Okay, this is called Unleash the Tiger, yeah? Stop! Repressing your pent-up fury. No need to go out and demolish a brewery, but you're doing a fair job of it. Haven't you thought, oh fuck, Tom, foolery? Unleash the tiger from your cage. Flirting openly suppresses rage. Add some... Add some spice, explore sexuality. You'll be turned on, that's a formality. Become a bedroom acrobat. Train real hard, tit for tat. Tears and kisses, Mr. becomes Mrs. and vice versa. While you're at it, do Big Bertha. Try helping out some fun. Yeah, it is. Don't miss out on fun shenanigans. Try helping out some desperate nanigans, though tread real careful around huge fannigans. Try the spit roast while the meat is hot. Try 2 sausages in the one pot. Push real hard until you're sore. Having wild sex is not a chore. Let's go again. Bravo, bravo. Encore. Grey turns to gay, high turns to bi, 3-way sparks begin to fly. Gotta do this one before you die. My oh my, girl, girl, guy. Only the frustrated really try to spy or start a rumour with a vicious lie. They used to laugh at Georgie Porgy, though he was one of the first to attend an orgy. God admire good old Georgie, affectionately now known as Georgie Gorgie. Many scenarios for you to find, as long as it's mutual and in kind. Turn to life's guide titled Mystery Page. You'll soon be glad you chose to become a sexual sage. Thanks very much for your time. I really appreciated everything.
So I'm going straight into the next poem, and then Sweet Anna will be back. So this is kind of like supposed to be our life. Though whatever. I'm so sick of getting fat. It's called Pork. I've got fat since I found true lady love, and she's got a bit fat too. Morris, I'll do anything for you, and it usually involves pork. I sit on the couch reading true crime novels while she gets on with making a living editing. Sounds like good money, but it makes her cranky concentrating on crap someone else wrote. I get on the computer after she's gone to bed and write things to other poets, sometimes in other countries, with headphones on, that I don't want to read next morning because drink declares, you're stupid. We argue on Fridays when we get back together again. Are you listening to me, darling? She's worrying about the cat. We eat at occasional tables. I can't say that. We eat at occasional tables found in a garage sale. Sometimes she cooks, sometimes I do. By Saturday morning, we've got the weekend. I bring her breakfast. Who goes to the toilet first? Then shower. She takes an hour to primp her hair. When I've evacuated my bowels and drunk coffee, I'm almost human. Sometimes we just sit around and do wordplay. We go to Footscray and eat Vietnamese soup. Some days we go to the country. In a good relationship, you run across perfect moments because the universe loves a lover. But she complains if I take her down factory roads where too often I like to go. But usually we find a cat, a goat, a rare weed, a flower, a smell, something built in iron we take home. Our love doesn't depend on agreeing. We leave our strangeness strictly alone. We're at that time of life where you can point out houses you lived in, but you don't want to live in those houses anymore. I laugh at her in that strange hat. She laughs at me trying to climb the hill, but she's close to my hand when I slip down.
This is my take on our relationship. Railway tunnel. On Sundays, nice couples with nice homes, good mothers with their good providers, march through mute streets in matching anoraks and jogging shoes. When we walk out together, you're Orpheus in clicking dancing shoes, or a turf cutter in Donegal tweed, and on your arm I'm a black velvet cat with sapphire silk trimmings. Over the fence, it's a country lane along the railway line. tangled banks of wild cherry plums, figs and oak saplings, secret cubbies, mushrooms, the rancid smell of a fox, blue eggshells and a tiny peeping nest among the thorns. Trip, trap, trip across the stones. Up ahead the cutting narrows to one track. Trip, trap, trip, we enter an old tunnel with alcoves for shelter if the train comes. But there'll be no trains for a while, so it's safe even if the sign says death to those who enter here. Trip, trap, trip, and dove cuckoos, goodly-goo, almost through. Trip, trap, trip, no more alcoves. And it's coming. Oh God, it's coming! Two soft-bodied creatures scrabble on sharp blue metal out of the brick blackness headlong into the light. 1 second's grace to press hard to the cutting, holding tight to the cold earth. Clay under nails, splinters in cheeks. The time slows and tunnels as the bellowing metal cannonball blasts through our ears, lashes our coattails, and my eye is looking into your eye, and a soundtrack cuts in. And if a 10-ton truck crashes into us, to die by your side is such a heavenly way to die. Oh, shut up, Morrissey, this is real. Oh, my sugar, oh, my honey, you're so real. Afterwards, the wet grass soaks our socks. We're cold and tired, but cooing like doves, goodly-coo. And in the dusky half-light, the train that almost killed us takes us home.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
I am Franco Cozzo. I have my pleasure to introduce Steve Williams of 15 Fabulous Minutes.
Backstage, it's all going off here. We've got the crew here. Now you're doing the hair, makeup?
Hair. Been doing some hair, yes.
How frantic has it been?
Very frantic, actually. No, actually, it hasn't been too bad. Hasn't been too bad.
How many models?
Myself 3, but I think altogether we've done 18, 16, 18.
18 models.
Yes.
And what's the look that you're trying to achieve in this show
Very
tonight?
sleek, very clean hair. Not so straight, just a little kick on the ends. Perfect.
Now, do you innovate or do you copy for, say, what's going on overseas?
Well, I think this time we've actually sort of done a little bit of copying about what's coming through.
Oh, okay.
Not quite
What's the look that we're expecting ahead of time?
Farrah.
Farrah.
Farrah flips.
Farrah Fawcett's back in.
Yeah, I reckon.
No way.
Yeah,
What is it with the 80s? They don't die out.
They always come back.
The 70s, 80s, it's all around. It comes around full circle, so
Yeah.
it'll come full swing again.
Yes, I think so.
So how long have you been here today?
We've been here since about 3 o'clock this afternoon.
So and when do you actually get to leave?
Probably after 9 tonight. We're
You going
doing
to the
2
after
men's
party?
shows.
You
I
are?
think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
It's at the men's gallery, mind you. So you're going to get up there on the table later and show the men what it's all about?
Maybe
Maybe not. This is Melissa, is it, from Napoleon? Of course, makeup here going frantic. How's the pressure going?
Not too bad, thanks.
And what's the look we're trying to achieve today?
Big open eyes, lots and lots of mascara, top and bottom, big 60s, 70s, it's all happening.
Why this look in particular?
Very sexy, and very much now, and for spring and summer.
So do you design to the clothes, or is it just the average makeup look of the season and not necessarily to the outfits?
The clothes and the designers want.
So you organised this all before?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And everybody's looking flawless here.
That is the look for the season too, very flawless foundations. Sheer and yet flawless, so like the freckles and things that we normally get used to seeing, like that we have been seeing in the past, that's not happening now.
How long does it take to do a face per model?
Depends on how much time you have.
On the time that you've had, how long?
Probably about 15 minutes per face.
Wow, you're that quick.
Absolutely, professionals.
Napoleon, get it today, a 15 makeover, and you two can look this great.
Look at me, darling. Sexy.
Wow, wow, wow. You've got the fake eyelashes in, you've got the whole thing going. How do you feel tonight?
Unreal. I feel like a Barbie doll with these things on my eyes at the moment, actually.
Do you get amazed in how great you can look after all the makeup's done?
Actually, I love it. It's a great sort of transition going from this really sort of plain thing to having this amazing face done on you and just looking sensational, hair and outfits and
Are you only
everything.
doing tonight's show, or have you done past
I
week?
did the Tiger Lily one on Monday.
So basically, you've had different looks each show.
Yeah, different looks each show. Actually, Mondays
Okay.
is very similar to this, but other than that, the looks are always different, always amazing, and always look amazing, and it's just great.
You're going to look amazing out there. We're going to watch you because you've got to go. I'm getting the hurry up. We've got to go.
Now, you must be getting paid to do this, eh?
No, I'm volunteering.
Oh, you're volunteer. You're doing it for love, not money. Gosh.
That's me.
So what's the secret to ironing a good pair of pants, getting all the creases out?
Just do it really quickly.
Okay. Now, what pants are you ironing here?
I'm ironing egotism.
Okay, what sort of label's that one?
It's sort of pretty cash, funky sort of stuff. Yeah, it's really cool.
And that's it, yeah.
And any particular colours we can look forward to seeing tonight, apart from khaki?
Yeah, the khaki, the maroons,
yes.
And that's about all I've got on my rack, so yeah.
Lovely, well enjoy yourself, keep ironing and don't get your hand. Okay, you missed a bit. Hi. By Rick Beletsky of Millennial Leather Goods. Now we've got a range of the bags at the moment in fashion, Italian leather made in Italy. There's a bit of a difference, isn't there?
That's quite. These are made in Italy as opposed to Italian leather made in China.
Look out for that one. And now these are the current trends at the moment in fashion in Australia?
Absolutely. Current trends in Australia and New Zealand. This is what we have now in stock.
So we've got snakeskin?
A lot of snakeskin now, and hope to have more for next season as well.
Now, as far as the summer range goes, what sort of colours can we look out for? There's pink's very popular at the moment.
Pink, turquoise, a lot of beige, light khaki. Black will still hold its own as well.
Classic. And anything left of centre that maybe is, you know, not quite hit its peak at the moment, but you think will be very popular?
Apart from what I've said already, I don't feel so. There'll still be a lot of room for red and black. We're doing a fair bit of that as well for the new season. Mainstream is where we feel we hold our own.
At the Amy tent here. It's the men's collection that's been shown tonight, and we've got a multitude of absolutely amazing designers, including, of course, Saba and Michael's madly dashing around at the moment, trying to probably locate models and put clothes on them, and we'd rather get the clothes off them, but anyway, that's just personal preference. Oh my God, look at this gorgeous steaming iron thing happening over here. It's all very frenetic. People don't know what they're doing, including me. Okay, going around in circles. We'll just have a check out the models. There we go. There's one over there. Oh my God, and here we have another celebrity. Hi Cara, how are you?
Hey, welcome to my fashion parade. This is Adam.
Hello Adam, how are you?
How are you?
Great. What's your involvement tonight, guys?
We're going to get up on stage with not much clothes on and get dressed.
Two of the models, there we go. So tell us some inside information about modelling these days in Melbourne. Is it easy to get a gig? What sort of look are we looking for?
Well, at the moment I think pretty much guys looking after themselves, good bodies, people that look all right with good-looking girlfriends, have got a lot of contacts on the inside, helps a lot, I reckon.
So it's who you know then?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. Whoever networks themselves the best.
Great. Now, who should we know around here? There's Michael here.
Michael, I went to school with this guy.
Hi, how are you? Good, thanks.
I'm very well.
Great. Now, how are things progressing this evening? Frenetic?
It's going all right. It's going all right, yeah. I've got two to do, so I'm running back and forth. Saba and Roy.
Right. Now, what can we look forward to in the Saba collection tonight?
Very relaxed, very Brian Ferry-ish. Okay, and Roy's is very glam rock and street.
Okay, and what's your personal preference?
I can't say.
Okay, come on, give us a bit
of a hint. Love them both. Love them both.
And how long does it take to get this sort of collection together?
How long? Well, I did Roy's one today in like about 5 hours, and I did Saba's one yesterday, so it takes me about a day, a couple of hours.
And much different from last year's?
None.
No?
I've done that many, it doesn't really. They're all
one another.
1975.
with a song.
Is it on? You're watching 15 fabulous minutes. That was 12.
Joined by Arthur and Mimi Gallan. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Very well, thank you.
We had a big night last night, I hear.
Yes, it was quite a late night,
Yes,
so my
we went-
voice is sounding a bit croaky.
Now, I'm just wondering, how important is Melbourne Spring Fashion Week for a designer such as yourself?
I'll answer that one. I think it's fun to sort of Spring Fashion Week in particular is very directed at Melbourne Spring Fashion Week is directed at the public consumer who actually comes down and has a look at the clothing, and it's very consumer orientated. They get into it, they get to sort of see the shows, and it really revs them up and encourages them to sort of get out there and see what's in the store. So it is very important from a consumer perspective.
And what do you think the response generally tends to be in the stores for the weeks following? Is it obvious that there's been a fashion parade on and people are more focused on clothes?
Definitely. I really run a lot of more of the retail stores, whereas Arthur designs, but I feel it's just such an immediate response. It's a great return, and I think it's a great way to really start Spring Fashion Week.
There's an international fabric fair that happens every 6 months in Paris called Premier Vision, which is a showcase of European textile designers, and they sort of show all their fabrics, and we go there and get all inspired and choose our fabrics for the next winter season, which is it's a hell of a lot of fun because it's something where you sort of, on an international level, you're there, and everyone from Europe and the States and Australia, we're all sort of there, and everything's offered to all of us, so it's great that we're there at that international sort of level.
Well, today here we're at one of the Melbourne's fashion expos, and what is the expo all about?
Well, this exhibition is the first for Australia. It is the first independent fashion industry trade fair, and it brings together all the major menswear suppliers and women's wear suppliers, also children's wear and accessories from around Australia, and attracts retailers from Australia and New Zealand to come and buy.
So basically, all in one shop, all the retailers come here and see what they need for their stores. And how often does something like this happen?
It happens twice a year. This fair here features winter 2001. So what you see around here, this jacket for example, is something that could be or will be in the shops from our winter season from March 2001. So this is what we're going to be wearing next year.
So we always have to be a year ahead basically for the following season.
That's correct, and then our next fair is in March, and that features summer 2002. So our fair in March is actually quite a lot larger than this one, and you'll see here, or the retailers will see here, the latest fashions that will be in the shops for 2002 summer range.
So how many stores do you have here altogether? How many wholesalers would be here?
There's about 120, and we did have a waiting list of about 20 companies that couldn't get in. So 120 wholesalers from Australia and New Zealand. This fair features only Australian and New Zealand manufacturers. That's a rule that's been put in place as a request of the industry to really showcase what we do here in Australia.
So this is basically a starting point. For instance, if I own a shop and I want to start filling it, I would come here and then talk to the buyers and then get something put into my shop basically.
No better place to come. This is the most efficient way to really come and see what's available for your store. So if you're thinking certainly of a fashion store, it's so efficient to come and see everyone under the one roof rather than try and get around and see what is available.
Fantastic, the one-stop shop really. Well, we'll have a look at what's going out in Melbourne on the fashion catwalks of Spring Fashion Week.
Makeup or massage or both?
It's a bit of both. It really is a bit of both. We have to make it as enjoyable as it is. Like, it's great.
Are you enjoying this?
Great.
Yeah, he's loving it. Okay, what are you putting on here to make him look perfect?
We're putting Napoleon mosaic luminizer, bronze
What effect
luminizer.
does that have?
It actually makes the body really sheeny, and it really brings out the muscle texture as well.
Fantastic. I'll keep putting it on then.
Backstage with Poata, and actually, there's the billboard right behind us. That's the one you were meant to be in. What happened? They chopped your head off.
They cut my head off.
Not good enough?
No, I don't think so. Not pretty enough. I think they preferred her head than mine.
Now, how annoying would that be? You do a big campaign like MISC, and then you see your billboard on top of a building, and you're headless.
Disappointed.
I mean, I could say that's me.
Yeah, but you haven't got my lips.
You're not even in there. There's not even a neck in there.
There's a lip.
Oh, I don't know. Look at that. Similarities here. And tonight, what are you modelling?
Just a ready-to-wear men's show. I think it's Roy, AG, 3 others.
Yeah, you got to go. You're getting a bit worried. It's time to go backstage, get the makeup done, and make him look like he's got a face, unlike the billboard behind us.
Thanks, mate.
Can I rub some stuff onto you? Oh, you're all finished, aren't you? How do you feel? You're all glowing there.
It's better than glow to be dull.
Now, do you normally strut around naked or what?
Yeah, all the time.
No, all the time.
Secret fetish of mine.
A secret fetish of yours? And you get paid for it tonight. Well done. So what are you wearing tonight?
Just
Ideally?
various assortments, shirts, trousers, underwear, and there's speedos and whatnot. So no.
Lovely. Any particular label you favour?
Saba, Roy.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, all of them. They're all awesome labels. Yeah.
Right. A bit of a cross between Brian Ferry and Glam Rock then.
With my hair, yes.
Yes. Okay. We'll have a great show tonight.
Thank you.
We're looking for a bit of a glam rock look here.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes, please.
I'd say so, the way the hairdressers have done their hair. Definitely. A bit of Yahoo serious, I'd say.
Right. Now, how do you match the makeup to this type of hairstyle?
We're still trying to keep it quite fresh. As you can see, we're putting bronzer on, so just to give that glow. Everything quite toned down. I mean, they're guys as well, so you don't want to overdo it.
If this were a female, what sort of Apollyon products would you be applying to get the look?
We can still certainly use the bronzer, the luminising stick, or the actual mosaic bronzer to have a more defined look. And would be actually probably accentuating the lips more. We will be putting a bit of lip lacquer on the guys as well, but a more matted look, just matted down, whereas with the girls would have the full-on gloss.
Here on my left, none other than, people call you Gus these days. Why is that?
It's just a lot easier to remember, 3 letters in a name. Angus is a bit long, 2 syllables. Gus is just like really straightforward and easy. I like it.
Fantastic. Good. Well, if you're happy, we're happy.
Well, I went to the name change centre. Is that what it's called?
By deed, Paul.
Yeah.
Plus your $50. Did you haggle?
Well, after Yahoo Serious did it, I thought, fuck it, I'll just call myself Gus from now on.
Absolutely fantastic.
Duck it, I said then, duck it.
Did you?
I thought duck it, I'll just call myself Gus.
You wouldn't want to have a list, would you?
No, and put it in the bucket.
Now, people are probably wondering, I wonder what Gus, or previously known as Angus Kennett's up to these
the artist
days.
formerly known as. That'll be my next name.
And?
I've been through all this.
No, come on, tell us. It's take two.
I now am an official corporate lad.
Yep.
I started work at Spin Communications about 4 months ago.
Which was why you're here tonight?
Which is why I'm here tonight, and just, you know, have a look how it's all going.
Yeah.
It brings back some old memories. Tear to the eye.
Oh, there you go. And so how do you think the proceedings tonight went with the men's collection then?
I think, as usual, it was the best show out of all of them so far. It was lacking something, I don't know what it was, can't put my finger on
Je ne
it.
sais quoi?
Like a tall, skinny guy with big ears or something.
Rightio,
But,
with like sort of deep blue eyes maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, you know, I thought
But it was
the same
all right apart from that.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Well,
what
you can't have everything.
That's just what people have been telling me, you know?
Oh, okay then.
I was hearing this around the traps.
Rightio. Now for you, tall, skinny guy with big ears.
Tonight? Or
Tonight,
in
and just in general in the future.
Where am I?
Oh, interesting relationships you've got with people around town. Anyway, go on.
My boyfriend won't leave me alone.
Aha! We've got that on tape now. And I hear you're a two-timer.
What do you mean?
Well, I know that. I didn't know that was your boyfriend. So the other one was your boyfriend.
I have heaps of boyfriends. I like them a lot.
I've got lots of girlfriends. Go on.
I've got a girlfriend too.
Right, okay. Swinger.
Where am I going?
So where
In
are you
life?
going? Yes, in life, just in general.
I don't know. Forwards?
Yes.
One step backwards, 2 step forwards.
Yeah, a cartwheel?
No, I can't do them.
No backflips?
I don't know. I'm scared. I don't know what I'm going to do. Hopefully stay working for Spin for a while.
Yep.
Get into advertising.
Yep.
Event management. Then I might start dancing on a boat. I'd like
On a
to do that.
podium, because of course the after party's at the men's gallery.
Travel the world on a fair star, something like that.
Lovely.
And dance on a podium in a boat.
I didn't think this could happen in Toowoomba. And then I saw it on TV that night. It really opened my eyes.
Whenever the community comes to us and says we need your help, we do whatever we can to assist.
It is a great feeling to be able to help your neighbours, to be able to help your community.
Each Lions member and each Lions club in different parts of the country, we're totally different. But we have core values that are the same. They remain the same for any Lions member and any Lions club anywhere in not just Australia but around the world.
Anything that you can think of that you want to do and support and help, Lions are doing it right now somewhere in this world.
I think Lions need to tell their story. They need to let people know the amazing things that they do.
The three major streams that we have in Lions are the community service that we do for the public, health and medical research, and the disaster relief.
We're out there to help people. If you love helping people, get out and help. Join the Lions Club.
We started this project about 20 years ago. All this gear would normally go to the tip. We recycle it and give it to someone less fortunate and where it is needed in the world.
Being a Lion here in Australia means that I can make a difference to my community. But most importantly, it's inspiring other people to get out and be part of their community and make it a safer and a much happier and better place to live.
Childhood cancer, I've always been interested in cancer and small children from the time I first got cancer 30 years ago. Research is an indefinite item. You can't see it, but it helps so much.
I'm here managing the money and the relationships, but other people are out there raising funds and bringing in community support. Without all of us working together, we can't affect change.
2 more extra hands at any function, any working bee, anything we do, 2 more hands can help us raise more funds, can help us serve our community better.
I went to my Lions Club and I said, I got this idea and I think it's a little bit crazy, but I think we could raise some serious money doing it. And it was to run 100 kilometres. And the club said, okay, if you want to do this, whatever you need us to do, we'll be there 100%. And I'm pretty proud to say that together we raised just over $16,000. So we blew the target out of the water, and I think that was due to a lot of the support that I got.
Through my leadership training and all that, I've learned about thinking global and acting local, and Lions Club is definitely that kind of thing. They act within their communities, but the money that they raise can often end up in any corner of the world.
As an individual, I could only do so much, and whilst it was my burning desire to try and help these people, having an organisation such as the Lions family to call upon to support me and those people that were working with me just made it possible for us to achieve so much more.
You know, after the devastation, to come back into the community, you know, you were shattered by what you saw. You know, no police station, no post office, no petrol station, you know, no kindergarten. There was nothing here.
And all that water with an unstoppable.
I don't know that I've ever seen as much as arrived. There were fridges, washing machines, dryers. There was toasters, jugs, just everything.
To be invited to be a part of Lions just opened up a whole new world to me. A world that provided a structured organisation that could see that the hours that I volunteered could achieve so much more.
I think Lions is a wonderful organisation. The people in it have charity in their hearts.
I can go anywhere in this country, see somebody with a Lions badge, walk up to them and say, good day, you got a friend.
Never once in my life had I had a group of people where I could go to, say anything, and know that no matter what, they would be there, they would stand by me.
It's the family. That's what we call it. It's the Lions family. Without Lions, I think I'd be lost now because they've been my life.
We work hard, but the most important thing is we have fun.
The fellowship of all the members of the club, the broader community, it's just a tremendous organisation to belong to. You know, I'll be here till I die.
It is extremely rewarding and gratifying to be a part of an organisation that can spread its support so far and wide.
More members means more hands, means more support to the community.
I would encourage everyone just to give it a go and see if it is for them, because the return that you get for giving to others is amazing.
Get out there, do something wonderful, be part of this fantastic organisation.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Streamed from Echuca each week, it's MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Streamed from Echuca each week, it's MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Live streamed from Echuca each week, MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV. Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
They say there's a chance I could die in a car crash, maybe even from heart disease, maybe even skin cancer.
I could die in a work-related accident, or I could die in a fight.
The fact is, the biggest cause of death for men in my age group is suicide.
Please don't let this happen to me.
You can do something. Lifeline believes that suicide is mostly preventable. Help us save lives. Find out what you can do at lifeline.org.au.
MELfeed.video is about to close operations for tonight, but we'll be back with you next Monday evening. In the meantime, here is a selection of programs that will be seen on our next scheduled web stream. You're welcome to visit our website at MELfeed.video for further details of this project. Until next time, from all of us here at MELfeed.video, we wish you a very good night.